Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and singing rivers, there lived a baker named Mr. Potts. Mr. Potts was no ordinary baker. His pastries were renowned far and wide for their perfect flakiness and divine taste. Every morning, the townspeople would queue up outside his bakery before dawn, eager to get their hands on his delicious creations. One crisp autumn morning, as Mr. Potts was sweeping his shop, he found a mysterious envelope lying by his doorstep. It was sealed with an elaborate wax stamp he had never seen before. Intrigued, he opened it to find a recipe written in a swirling, elegant script. The recipe promised to create the most delicious treat ever tasted. Excited by the prospect, Mr. Potts decided he would try this mysterious recipe. The ingredients were quite unusual, calling for things like whispers of wind and laughter of children. Mr. Potts spent the whole day gathering these whimsical ingredients, feeling more like a magician than a baker. That night, under the light of a full moon, he mixed the ingredients just as the recipe instructed. By morning, a batch of pastries, unlike any other, sat cooling on his counter. They were golden and gleamed with a light of their own. Mr. Potts could barely contain his excitement as he opened his shop. He didn't have to wait long before his first customer, Mrs. Greenley, came in. As soon as Mrs. Greenley took a bite, the pastry leaped out of her hand and started dancing around the shop. Mr. Potts watched in disbelief as more pastries joined in, hopping and twirling, causing a delightful chaos. Word quickly spread, and soon the whole town had gathered to see the spectacle. The pastries led a merry parade, with Mr. Potts and the townspeople chasing after them, laughing and stumbling. The pastries darted through the streets, into homes and over fences, turning the town upside down in their playful mischief. Mr. Potts tried to catch them, but they were too quick, leaving trails of giggles and powdered sugar in their wake. The baker realized he had baked not just pastries, but little bundles of joy and chaos. The chase continued into the afternoon, until, one by one, the pastries began to slow down. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the town, the last of the mischievous pastries came to a stop in the town square, where all the townspeople were gathered, out of breath but full of smiles. Mr. Potts looked at the faces around him, seeing the joy and unity his unusual pastries had brought to the town. He realized that while his intention had been to bake the most delicious treat ever, he had instead created something far more special, a day of laughter and camaraderie that would be remembered for years to come. As night enveloped the town, the people of the town thanked Mr. Potts for an unforgettable day. They returned to their homes, hearts light and spirits lifted, knowing that sometimes a little chaos could bring a lot of happiness. Mr. Potts returned to his bakery, his heart full of gratitude for the lesson he had learned. He knew now that sometimes the best recipes didn't come from mysterious letters, but from the joy and laughter of those around him. He decided then and there to stick to his own tried and true recipes, with maybe just a dash of mischief for good measure. From that day forward, Mr. Potts continued to bake his perfect pastries, but he always remembered the day when his creations turned the town upside down. And though he never used the mysterious recipe again, the memory of the laughter and joy it brought remained a sweet reminder of the magic that can be found in the unexpected.